Today, we're going to be diving into a topic that photographers have been talking about for years: film versus digital. And now that we're in a new year, is film still worth it in 2025? In a world where digital is king, is film just a nostalgic money pit? Or does it have a real world value for photographers today? We'll break down the cost, the workflow, the pros and the cons, and in the end, you'll know if film is something for you. Let's get into it. All right, so when we're talking about film today, I am strictly talking about 35 millimeter. Yes, there is medium format and large format, but that is a whole other rabbit hole, and unless you have money burning a hole in your pocket, we're not jumping into that today. So with that in mind, here's what you'll need to get started. First up is a camera body. A classic choice is a Canon AE1. On eBay, you're looking at something like $150 to $250 for something in a decent condition. B&H may have them as well, and sometimes they come with a warranty, but you're looking at something that may run you about $300. If you want to spend less, you can get a Pentax K1000 or a Minolta SRT 101. These generally will cost you around $200. Okay, so you have your body, now you need some lenses. And this is where things get tricky. Film lenses aren't cheap. Because they're no longer produced and people are snatching them up left and right, the laws of supply and demand apply. So even scratched and scuffed to hell lenses are more pricey than they should be. As an example, a Canon 50mm 1.4 can cost you $100 to $150. But if you want a focal length that's wider or longer, you may be looking at something that's $300 for glass that's seen better days. Sure, those scratches may give you that cool vintage look, but you better love that look for those kind of prices. Okay, so you have your camera, you got your glass, now we need some film. For black and white film with 36 exposures, you could be looking at $8 to $12 a roll. And for a pack of 5, you could be looking at $40 a roll. Color film is generally more expensive, with a 5-pack of Portrait 400 usually going for $70. Sure, there are cheaper versions of color film. I'm just giving you an example. So you're invested, you're dedicated, and you want to know where to buy. I'm going to tell you. You can find cameras and lenses on eBay, Craigslist, B&H, and your local camera shops. For film, places like Adorama or Amazon are generally selling and have film in stock. But before you buy, let's tally everything up. A camera body, going off the AE1, we're looking at $150 to $200. Lens, 50mm, 1.4 at that $150 sweet spot. And film, we'll go with a 5-pack of black and white for $50. So total, we're looking at $400 to get you started. And remember, film is consumable. So the more you shoot, the more costs rack up. Now, if you're doing this professionally, not a big deal, as the client is generally eating those costs. But if it's just a hobby, that's something to consider. And unfortunately, we still have more costs to add. We still have to process the shots we've taken. And that goes like this. First, you have to shoot your roll with 24 to 36 exposures, and you better make every shot count. There is no burst mode, there is no instant review, and there is just good old patience. Then you must process that film. You've got 3 main options here. You can go to the camera store for $10 to $20 a roll, and they'll generally turn that around in about 3 to 7 days, which is a pretty good deal. There's online services, but you have to send that film out, whatever that shipping cost is, and they'll send it back to you. Generally about the same cost, the $10 to $20 a roll. And then there's DIY processing, which, don't get me wrong, can be fun. I do my black and white at my house. I do the color at the store. But a kit will cost you around $100. That's usually a one-time thing, and then you're just buying chemicals as you need them. But chemicals don't last forever, and it can be more time-consuming. So if you work from 9 to 5, or if it's a hobby and this is just your time to do things, you will be eating time up in that processing of that film. So keep that in mind. Finally, we have to scan those negatives. So if you're going to do that at home, you'll have to buy a scanner or a setup to where you can use your digital camera to import those into Lightroom. Now, a common scanner is the Epson V600, which can run you about $200. But that's just another cost to add to the pile. And at this point, you may be thinking, this is a heck of a time commitment. And it is. It's film. So you have to shoot, process, and scan your images that you want. It's not like today's mirrorless where you get them instantaneously. And talking about digital, let's jump into the pros of that for a minute. It's a little bit more cost effective, right? You can shoot endless photos as long as you have a memory card, wipe that card and shoot again. And you get as many photos as you want to your heart's content as long as you have that storage. There's new tech. Look at iFocus. the low light conditions you can shoot in, all of these things to get a perfect shot. Last but not least, there's film emulation. You might not need to spend hundreds of dollars on a film setup. You may be able to look at plugins for Photoshop that can get you that film grain or film look without, having to do all these things. And I know that can be kind of controversial, but there are tools out there, and there's plenty of YouTube videos that can kind of teach you how to do that. And you might come up with your own look without having to go the film route. That's not to say that film doesn't have its unique look, because it definitely does, and you can tell something's been shot on film. But you can replicate that fairly decent in Photoshop, or if you're using Lightroom, Capture One, things of that nature. You can get a pretty cool film look or film grain if that's what you're going for. And if that's all you're going for, it might not be worth it to you to invest in all this other equipment. Now, digital isn't perfect either. It's got a high upfront cost. You're looking at hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for a body, thousands of dollars for lenses just to get started. That's not including memory cards, storage, and also your software just to edit your photos. But once you have it, you can shoot zillions of photos and not have to worry about it ever again. I've run this same body and same lens setup for, 5+ years and not had to really think about anything. There's been no other cost unless I'm really gunning for a new lens or gunning for new software. It's there and it works. But here's the bottom line. Neither film nor digital is better. It's kind of on you. Both have their startup costs, but it's on you to figure out what you want to shoot and what you want to do. If you love the process or want to try something new, film is incredible. If you can, borrow a camera first. Buy a roll of film, have your friend teach you how to do it, and snap a few. See if it's really for you before investing that money. If you're really chasing that film look, really sit down and see if you can do that in, post-processing. It may save you some money. But I know, if you want that film look out of the camera and the feel and the textures and everything you get, then yeah, go film. I get it. And film is undeniably cool. It's requested by a lot of my clients. And if you can do it, it sets you apart from a lot of photographers. The ability to experiment with different film, double exposure, and different techniques has really been a lot of fun for me lately in the world of photography. There's no greater feeling than getting a roll of film back that's been processed and really seeing what you got. And for me, film has been a way to escape the digital rut. It's been a way to push myself, try new things, and just really experiment. I try different lighting setups, and I don't do a whole lot of post-processing. When I process my own film, I don't do retouching in post. I don't remove the grain. I don't remove any, dust or hairs that may fall into the film as it's processing. I just let it be. I want that look. If I'm going to make it super clean and polished, I'm going to shoot digital. That's just me, and I want the differentiation between those two looks. Last, processing can become its own hobby. It takes a lot of time and skill, and making sure that there isn't a lot of dust that falls into your film, or what chemicals to use and what ratios and this and that. There's Reddit forums galore you can dive into. And if you're looking for something new to explore within photography, this may be a new route for you. So ultimately, is film viable in 2025? Absolutely, but it's not for everyone. You have to be willing to sacrifice 1, money, and 2, time. It can be a deeply rewarding experience that can elevate your work. What do you think? Are you team digital? Are you team film? Or do you do both? Let me know in the comments and let's chat. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like and subscribe so you stay up to date on all new content. And you can find some of my work on my Instagram, link in the description. Have a good one.